Here's actually another problem I thought of with the movie. Um, all the product placement.
Um,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
In
like, hi,
fact,
Mom, how you doing? Sorry, babe, I gotta go work at Sears now. I can't talk.
wait, I have
Uh,
to say this. I have to say this. I have to say this. This movie featured the best use of a restaurant since McDonald's and Mac and Me. The
Yeah.
IHOP. Can we wait? The classic Superman versus General Zod in an IHOP.
Yes.
okay. I have. Okay, speaking with, I think Dark, you bring up actually, you're bringing us into another great question about this movie. How was the atmosphere of this movie? I mean, for example, did it feel like this feels like Metropolis, or does this feel like went to New York to Chicago to get different looks of buildings?
Okay,
What do you,
I'm gonna say this about Metropolis. I felt nothing with Metropolis
Yeah.
because with okay,
Yeah, I got agree
and
with
okay,
that.
in the original film, it was obviously New York because there's the World Trade Center, there's the Empire State Building, there's the Statue of Liberty, but whatever. But they still established Metropolis in the first film. Um, and of course, the Superman the Animated Series, they've obviously, when you think about when they establish a famous city, you can either do it good or you can do it bad. Obviously the Tim Burton movie that really established Gotham City as it had a great look to it. I didn't think Batman Begins established Gotham very well. I don't think they got Gotham right until they did The Dark Knight. But with Man of Steel, it just felt like, okay, we're in the city now. I guess it's Metropolis. There wasn't.
Yeah, I was when I was watching the movie, I was like, wait, that's Metropolis?
Yeah, I kind of had the same vibe,
It was
really.
just
Like,
so generic. I mean, I know
yes.
Metropolis is like based on New York, and it's kind of like the generic city, but I don't know. It's just thought they could have done a better job.
And a lot of like the artwork or whatever. I mean, I know you can't necessarily make the real world kind of brighter, but there were just certain things that kind of stuck out. I'm sorry, I have to agree with you. It was just kind of generic city USA.
okay, and then this leads to another question. This is really just sounds really weird, but how was the CGI special effects for you guys? Did it really immerse you into the action scenes or what was going on then?
No.
No? Okay.
I thought the CG was fun.
Yeah, I thought they were fun.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't really have a problem with them myself, but go ahead, Darkseid.
I was just gonna say, with CGI, I always say the same thing. It looks good for CGI. It's never, oh my god, it's amazing. It's just like that's good for CGI because we've seen when CGI goes bad. It's just that, no, it was well done. It looked good, but I didn't get any. I wasn't excited or anything. I wasn't excited about any of it. It was just sort of like it's something that you kind of expect. They have CGI, so now they can do all these fight scenes, and they can go on and on and on and destroy a lot of shit. But
And you can have a guy literally throwing a train at Superman, that kind of thing.
Okay, and now, what about the action scenes then? Were they good? Were they epic? I heard a lot of complaints before people start answering this
that
question.
was my biggest complaint.
Yeah, one of the biggest issues, and I've seen a lot of jokes about too, was the real estate damage done to Metropolis.
Oh god.
Yeah, there was a couple things about that was kind of a problem. Like part of the attack is, if you don't mind me going into it.
No, it's fine. It's cool. I think I'm just throwing that in there. Just trying
Part of
to
the
give
attack
it
is that on both ends of the Earth, you have one part you have Zod's ship, and the other thing you have the terraform machine, and it's literally like doing this pump action gravity changing thing. So it'll be like poof.
It's like operating
It's like
it's
causing like little ripples
It's like they're playing
of
tennis.
earthquake. Yeah. So
It's like a giant
And
shake weight.
and when you're sitting there, you're like, okay, like first of all, those ripples should really be going out and doing a lot more damage than what they seem to be doing, because it almost like has it like branch out, like, oh, it goes 2 inches. Oh, the next pump went 4 inches. Oh, the next one went 6 inches, and you're like, no, like that's not quite how it would work. So, and in that one sense, I think a lot more people should have died than kind of what they were showing. And But on the other thing, I noticed a lot of people were complaining about, like, oh, well, Superman's killing just as many people, which is wrong, so I was worried about that too. But a lot of, like, in the immediate vicinity, when they're first fighting in, like, one of the burnt buildings, like, the pulse from there had really, you would imagine, within that range, like, those people were kind of already dead, and you could really kind of very clearly lay that on Zod's side. Now, that being said, I've heard other people being like, oh, well, those people, like, evacuated and stuff. I'm like, well, not really, because you can very clearly see them on the street.
Yeah, they had 5 minutes to evacuate at
I was
best.
going to say that
Like, I would even give them the benefit of the doubt, be like, okay, they evacuated, except, oh, wait, look down. There's a bunch of people sitting up there being like, dude, those two guys are fighting on a building.
Right. Well,
go
well,
ahead.
that's human nature to watch two people beat the shit out of each other.
You were saying
I
something,
know.
Darkseid?
I was going to say that I agree completely with Pandora. Is that I thought that the destruction of Metropolis was ridiculous. It really was. It was, at the end of it, there's a giant crater in the middle of Metropolis, the size of Central Park, and it was looking like Spoonie was making fun of this on his Twitter. He was like showing pictures of like L.A. in the future from the Terminator movies, like all the skeletons. Oh yeah, the Metropolis is saved. There's nothing left in Metropolis, and it's ridiculous because it's a scene where Perry White, Jenny Olsen, and that other guy.
Actually, they rewrote that. That's not Jenny Olsen anymore.
Oh, it isn't?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's stupid.
Well, Wikipedia. So they're running out of the Daily Planet, and there's like this huge crowd of people, and they're all like running around, and the camera's like whooshing around, and we're seeing jets fly over and smash into buildings and explode. And the capital off, a giant, like we're talking like 40-story buildings just falling over and collapsing. And like,
people are running the long way.
Yeah, it's like it was just so, and you were kind of going back to what you were saying about the fight scenes. What you thought about the fight scenes in the third act of this movie? I was bored. I was like waiting for the thing to end. I was not invested, not one bit.
Real quick question,
into
Darkseid.
any of it.
Real quick question. I don't mean to cut in.
Go ahead.
But
Motherfuckers.
did this? Okay, our question. All this ridiculous, because it sounds absolutely ridiculous. The amount of violence that's going on in the city. Because after a while, did it just desensitize you to the weight of the situations, like whatever kind of thing?
It was because we get this really long epics. We get this really long. Not epic. We take that word out. This word epic does not belong in this movie.
Okay.
I'm putting epic in the corner. We already got this long extended fight scene in Smallville that goes on for like 15 minutes, and it's I don't know, it's like 10-15 minutes until they get to the fight in Metropolis.
Gotcha.
And it really feels like, because it's sort of like, okay, they defeat they stop the machine. And then Superman has to have a giant fight with General Zod. And when it got to the fight with Zod, I had enough. Because it felt like those quick time events in a video game. Like you had to mash B, mash A. And it just kept going on. Now they're on a rooftop. Now they're on a construction site. Now they're going through an office building. Now they're doing this. Now they're doing that. It just went on and on. There was no
Now
substance.
Neo and Agent Smith are fighting.
There was no no investment into it. It's like Zack Snyder said, "Okay, I have CGI. Now we can film this now."
I was going to disagree a little bit there. With there were actually some parts, like in the beginning when they're first fighting, did get a little bit, like into it, because you expect, like, okay, like General Zod and the chick there being like, it is kind of cool, like you're seeing somebody throw Superman halfway down the country and everything. That was kind of cool. And then it kind of got a little bit old. I don't know. And then it was like, okay, we have the single fight scene, and then I retreat. And then he has another single fight scene, and then she retreats. And I'm like, okay. And I admit, like, with the mass building thing, fighting, yeah, I did get a little bit with that, but there was a moment, obviously, where, like, Superman has destroyed Zod's ship. And the thing that they have with that, especially that it affects Zod in such a way, is because Zod is actually carrying what remains of, like, the fetus bodies, I guess,
Ooh, okay.
of the Kryptons.
Yeah.
Like Superman was, what is it, merged with, I don't know, like the DNA of everybody, like they're in his every living cell, but Zod actually had, like, the baby.
Codex.
Yeah. So when he destroys that, he destroys, like, if there's a moment where Zod is literally telling him, you have destroyed the very soul of what made me who I am. And just that moment, I actually however wrong and however cruel Zod was, like, at that moment, I did feel a little bit of sympathy for him. Like, I am, like, just understanding, like, this guy has nothing left.
Real quick, I have a question. From Spoonies and Moses' discussion of this film. They were talking about Russell Crowe being part of the ship. You know, he's kind of like the it sounds weird. The Cortana of the ship, right?
I liked computer Russell Crowe.
Okay, but here's the question. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm taking too long. But like, being that he's was there any difficult scene where, you know, it's like, I'm about to destroy the ship. This is the last time I'll ever see my father. How did that work out?
That was kind of cheap. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
like, his
it was really
consciousness was basically like Russell Crowe. The only reason why I say I like computer Russell Crowe is because you understand that Russell Crowe is playing a computer conscience, so it worked.
Okay.
He has about as much emotion as a computer.
So,
I would say there were moments where he was actually very cool. Like, you know, I am following Lois Lane through the halls, and I'm opening gates and telling her where to shoot. That was kind of cool.
Okay.
Speaking
But
of
when
Lois,
you're talking about moments there, like, he's like, good luck, Lois Lane. We're very likely never going to see each other again. You know, like, I am going to be destroyed in a little bit amount of time, and this is my shocked face. You know.
So was there any, like, scene where Superman, as he's destroying the ship, he doesn't say, if this makes sense, he says goodbye, in a sense, like goodbye, father, or anything like that? I'm trying to misunderstand.
I felt cheated about that. There wasn't. I mean, his last thing is like reiterating the whole "you can change everything," and that's really like the last thing he says. It's not really like Superman asked him like a very potent question too. It's like, did you really want to be a part of, you know, Zod's plan of recreating Earth to be a Krypton? He, like, doesn't answer, and he's like, I mean, he does, but he doesn't. I mean, he's hinting at the side, like, you know what, you're doing the right thing by fighting for the humans, but he doesn't say that, and he doesn't say goodbye. He's just like, go, be their leader.
You can save all of them.
Exactly.
Now here's another question. So how does, if this sounds weird again, how does Superman become this last son of Krypton again? Because it sounds like it's, you know, because here's this epic army by Zod, all this stuff. I know the ship gets blown up. That gets rid of the future DNA of the future of Krypton. But what happens with the soldiers on the planet? I'm trying to understand.
Actually, aren't that many. Like, he really almost on Krypton, he had more of a coup that he was trying to perform, like have a small little band of people.
How many people would you say?
That's kind of weird. Sometimes it felt like it was, you know, you think a couple dozen, but other times you think there's like 5.
Yeah,
so I'm not really sure.
Most of them, they get sucked through that wormhole that they create at the end. And then Superman kills Zod. But
yeah, basically their main plan for stopping the attacks is that they want to create a they want to, because they got the ship hovering over Metropolis. They want to drop Superman's vessel that he was sent to Earth in on top of it, and basically that will create a phantom zone that they will be sucked into, and then they'll be gone. So
Yeah, I was waiting for someone to start saying, "Careful, Lois, you're gonna probably be in the danger zone," or something like. Someone make a reference to what's the show, Archer? Careful, Lois, because you haven't left the Phantom Zone. Sorry,
Right into
To
the
the
Phantom
and,
Zone.
so thank
but
you.
so just look. Okay, so looking at it, okay, what the biggest controversy is that Superman kills. What do you guys think of that? Was it? Do you think it was just being for controversy? Do you think it was
I
necessary?
I think that controversy is bullshit, and it's the same thing of like how people get all pissy pants with superheroes and them kill, and, like getting pissy with Batman and all that stuff. If
Yeah.
if if there's a reason for it, I don't like Frank Miller's Crazy Steve, as when Crazy Bob or whatever that Quinn Carr calls him.
Entertaining as he is.
Yeah,
Crazy Bob.
yeah, Crazy Steve. It's Crazy
Crazy
Steve.
Steve.
And just him being like sadistic, but I like that. Let me rephrase this. I don't like when superheroes don't realize that sometimes they have to take that option to save lives. I hate that in movies or comic books or media where they're so resistant to that they cost lives because of it. Now, I know that was a big thing in The Dark Knight, and obviously he didn't want the Joker to win. And with the nature of the Joker, you didn't know if he had if he did just snap the Joker's neck, it would have come to bite him in the ass because I should say, sorry, uh, the Joker always had an ace up his sleeve. So if he killed him, then something else could have happened. Like he could have had a bomb, and then he didn't know about it because Joker didn't tell him before he just snapped his neck.
And
But
looking at it,
let
sorry.
me finish my thought. With going back to Superman, is that I don't see the problem with the scene. I'll explain the scene to you, average gamer. Is that at the end of this extended fight scene, they land in the train station, which it's essentially Grand Central Station, or modeled after it, and Superman has General Zod in a headlock. And basically, they can't really defeat each other because they're both equal in strength. And except if Superman goes all the way and just kills him.
Okay.
And there's a family in a corner of the room, and there's rubble, so they can't get away. And so Zod uses his laser, his laser eye power thingy. And he says, what would you do to save them? And the laser's getting closer and closer to this family, so Superman just finally snaps his neck and kills Zod.
That's proper. I agree. That's proper.
And
he's pleading with him too. He's like, "Please stop! Don't do this."
But then after he kills him, Superman goes, "Oh!" It's like this angsty scream, and Lois has to come over to him and go, "There."
I'm sorry. I found it appropriate. I'm going to disagree with you.
I agree. I think that was totally fine and justified for him to have that scream.
Next scene, he's totally fine. Totally fine.
Yeah.
Well, that's not entirely fair. I mean, it kind of is, but it's kind of not, because it's in a different time. Like, you're assuming time has passed. Like, he didn't automatically fly into the next scene. I mean, he did, but he didn't.
Well,
what I mean?
I'm gonna kind of disagree in that. Okay, if I wrote this, say if I was writing this or I was directing this, I would show, and I get your point, because he's Superman, and he probably doesn't want to kill a lot of people. But this is how I would have directed it. I would have said, after he snaps Zod's neck, he shows regret, but he doesn't do that scream. I think the scream.
Maybe a tear, maybe a couple tears because he just took a life and it upsets him.
I wouldn't push it to tears because remember, General Zod was a murdering asshole.
Very true.
He was a prick, and there was no way he was going to go down without. You had to kill him basically.
But he's also, in a way, his last worldly brother, even though they are enemies. I mean, as far as Superman knows, there's literally him and it is me. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I understand that, my brother over here is a total murdering bastard. So yeah, I get that, but at the same time, it's one thing like, okay, I am killing one of my own kind, and on top of the fact that he is killing something, I will say, I found it
Yeah, I
totally
mean,
appropriate that he was found
imagine.
dead at my lunch because in the earlier and like towards the beginning, I had a problem with the fact that after Superman flew, whatever, back to shore after the whole big shipwreck incident, he stole a person's clothes. And I'm not even kidding. I turned around to my father who was with me and I'm like, Superman would not steal clothes.
I'm just borrowing them.
Well, no, but I mean, the Clark Kent all-American good boy would have like knocked on the door and been like, "I'm sorry, I just pulled up on shore. I'm okay, but can I borrow some clothes or something?" He would literally just sneak up, like, "Oh,
See,
nothing on the
that'll be a
clothesline."
perfect product placement for Abercrombie and Fitch.
That's not the point.
But wait, I just
maybe
wanna-
he didn't. I mean, hold on. I just want to say one thing. If you had this man that knocked on your door, butt naked, saying, "I'm sorry, could I borrow
He
your
wasn't
clothes?"
naked. He had shredded pants on. He looked like he just came from the ocean, which he did.
Well, I know, but it's like, would you really lend this man your clothes? I mean, you don't know him.
If it would make him go away,
Oh, okay,
yes.
wait, it is a
He's,
difference.
if he's a good-looking man.
If
If he's
it
a
was,
good-looking man, please come on in.
if
If he looks like that, yes.
Now, let me just say, if this, I don't know what town or country this is supposed to be, and I guess it's New England, but if this was Canada, then yes, they would absolutely say, "Oh, come in, we'll get you a cup of cocoa too." Hey, if it was the United States, it would have been, "Get off my property."
Get off
But
my
wait,
lawn.
I quickly want to get out. This is the last thing I'll say about this scene, about this General Zod scene. This is the last thing I'll say about it. I perfectly understand your points. I really do. I wouldn't say that I would go as far as saying that he feels bad about killing his own kind, mostly because I thought that Clark would be more. He identifies more with the human race than he does with the Krypton race.
Well, not necessarily. If he had thought that, like, if Zod took hey, we want to try and live here and interbreed and stuff and make little Krypterthians, then I think Superman would have been like, hey, I'm all for it, live and let live thing.
Yeah.
So he's not necessarily.
But obviously that's not the way it turned out, and he wanted to mass murder every single person. But just to complete my thought about how I would have directed this scene, I would have said, not tears. He snaps his neck, and he shows regret on his face. But he does the kind of it's a British term, stiff upper lip.
Yeah,
He's sort of he just goes like, all right, I killed, like he feels it, but he keeps it inside. He just hides the fact that it shows on his face, like in his eyes, like he regrets it, but he just goes, it had to be done.
I like that your way, Darkseid. I really do. Honest.
I think.
But this Superman is very. I'm sorry.
The reason he screamed because he just killed someone with his mere hands. Wouldn't everybody do that if they had to do that?
Some people, I think some.
This is the first person he knows he's like willingly and killed himself with full intention to do so.
But at the same time, it's just like I think at the same time, as Darkseid was saying, it was necessary. I mean, it's horrifying. I mean, but then this is a really truly horrifying thing. Is Superman just? We'll just say this is probably Superman's worst day of his life because he just, he discovers, okay, he's not alone again. He's not the last guy of Krypton. Now
Worst day of his life so far. Wait until he meets Doomsday.
But the point is though is that okay, he finds them again. Oh, I'm not alone again. Poof, he has to destroy them, kill them, and it's very stressful. So I understand. I see both points where the screen, because this is come on. I mean, a lot of people going through all that trauma is just too much. I mean, I'm not trying to make this angsty, but going through a tragic loss all of a sudden for me, my brother Patrick might can relate to this, but we experience a sudden loss and people react differently. I mean, so you have some people will have, it had to be done, and some people are freak out about it because that's what happens with people. I see both sides. I think at the same time, I side with Darkseid, but I do definitely see where Pandora and Gabe Johnson are coming from.
I can understand their points. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Maybe it might be two more after you say Dark Side. Maybe two more questions. We wrap this up. I think this is getting pretty long.
And I'm sorry. I don't want to keep going on about this, but I perfectly understand your points. I perfectly do, and I understand it. I'm just saying that I think, and I know that people deal with this, and I just thought that the scream was too much. I thought they could have just facial expressions or something like that. And I just want to say that because I understand the whole thing about he just killed the last survivor of Krypton, and that's his, this guy was from his home. But I always got the impression in this movie that he never, when they made that broadcast, we're looking for last survivor of Krypton. He's on this planet and he has to turn himself into the. I always thought that he never trusted them. Like he was always wary of them. So I can't see that he would be upset because he just killed this last survivor of Krypton, because it's sort of like he fought for the humans. He didn't fight for Krypton. He destroyed the future of Krypton. He just destroyed all these fetus jars. And he's going to get upset.
Yeah.
He didn't get upset over that, but he got upset over this murdering douchebag who was about to turn this poor family into Kentucky Fried Chicken.
He didn't.
No, he was upset about the murder itself, the fact that he had to kill somebody. And in this version, but Superman in this version, I think they've actually shown from the beginning, he's actually intensely passionate. He does feel these things, and he wants to be that good guy. He wants to be that Boy Scout Diggle and do the right thing. And obviously, in his mind, killing is not the right answer.
I think the reason why he cried is because he couldn't be like Batman.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you have a choice, always be Batman.
It's sort of like I'm gonna bring this reference in. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for prolonging this discussion.
Yeah, me too. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. But it's sort of like I'm a big Doctor Who fan, and as we know, there's two eras of the show. There's the classic series and the new series. It's the same series. Mm-hmm. It's just that there was a big 20-year gap between. It got canceled, then they brought it back, and they continued on. And there was an episode in the new series with David Tennant, the 10th Doctor, where someone gets shot by this army guy, and he picks up the revolver, and he points at the guy, but then he flips it around, so he's hand it to him, and he says, I would never kill someone. And that's true. The Doctor does not like violence. He always tries to find the peaceful way of a situation. He always uses his mind. But there have been instances in the show where the last resort he does have to use, he uses a weapon against. And someone made this brilliant YouTube video. It's called The Doctor Puts a Cap in Your Ass, where it shows all the scenes of where he had to use a gun or some sort of violence to get out of a situation. And I always liked that. And that episode that Way said I would never, it pissed me off because it's like, did you ever watch the new old series? Because he did it, and I liked that for the Doctor. I always thought that he was smart enough to know, and he wasn't stubborn enough to know that when he's exhausted all of his options, that if he has to take that third option, he'll take it. He may not, he might not like it. He might want to.
But he's also detached. He is a detached character from the species and the millions of worlds and the millions of galaxies.
Aren't those different characters though?
What?
I mean, I've never seen Doctor Who, but aren't those different doctors?
Well, it's different incarnations of the same man, but they do have sort of there's always something common with each Doctor. I mean, their personalities differ, but their morals are still kind of the same. But it's sort of like he laminates sometimes. I wish because in a lot of these episodes, everyone dies except for the companion, him and his companion. And sometimes he laminates about the death that surrounds him. But I think he realizes that if he does not take the third option, if he does not take this, then there's going to be people are going to die. There's going to be consequences. He doesn't cry about it,
Well, like I said, he's also a detached character. He's not as I'm sorry, I don't see him as invested as Superman would be. And obviously, I think Superman did prove that he would. Like, okay, I have to kill this man.
Well, that's a good point.
But
Yeah.
That's a good
Well,
point. I mean, obviously, he definitely, like Superman, he does sort of align himself with the human race. He likes humans. Um, most of his companions are humans, but no, that's a good point. I'm just saying that I don't like when people have to complain or bitch about a character taking the quote unquote. I'm calling it the third option. That the option where you have to use force or violence, you have to kill someone to save other people to stop this guy, and I don't. It just pisses me off that this is always something we have to deal with. It's sort of like, I never, when people complain about Tim Burton's Batman, I never had an issue with him dropping the Joker or killing anyone in that movie. I never. I mean, obviously that's Batman and Superman's a different thing. It's just sort of like.
yeah,
I was also looking at it. The Tim Burton's Batman, you can arguably say it takes a lot from the Golden Age, not the Golden Age, Golden Age, the very early years of Batman, where snap a neck, stuff like that. He did his best to capture a criminal, but sometimes, you know what? It's too hard to do it. I have to kill the guy. Poof, and he did it.
He uses a pistol. Genius.
Yeah. And he uses machine guns in one set on his plane. Yeah, he uses machine guns. I'll give a link later, and they reference it in The Dark Knight Rises. But it just
Well, this is the guy who drives around in both a car and in a flying jet that is armed to the teeth with miniguns and rocket launchers.
And it can't hit worth anything.
It can't hit anything.
Rubber bullets, honest.
Yeah, but the Joker, when he pulls out this long gun, this long pistol, just one shot, and he just takes him down.
Yeah, but now I got maybe there's actually three more questions. How? Okay, I'm gonna put it like this. I'm trying to organize it. Okay,
Can I say one more thing about the killing thing?
Sure. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I don't want to cut in.
I'll be really brief. So for me, like, I have no problem with Superman killing Zod just on principle. I mean, the guy is a murderer. He's committed a genocide. He says, I will never stop no matter what you do. Okay, let's oblige. But what I don't like is the notion of there being no other option, because throughout this movie, Superman is placed in these situations, as I mentioned earlier, that are completely contrived bullshit as far as conflict. Like, well, Superman has to do this. Superman has to do this. There's no other way for Superman to do this. And I don't think Superman's that big of an idiot. I think it's an insult to his character to try to portray him as such.
Yeah.
So that's really more my problem with the scene is that it's kind of like well, let's back it up about 20 minutes. How is it that you never thought I should draw away Zod from the city somehow? Like there's a whole lot of foresight, there's a whole lot of thought that could have gone into this that didn't, and now you're stuck and you have to kill him.
I think Zod wouldn't fall for that, because I think Zod is really
Zod doesn't make any goddamn sense. Okay, Zod has no sense whatsoever. He makes no sense as a character. His decisions are entirely like the worst possible thing that he could do for Krypton and for the Earthlings. He is a murderer, and he has no logic. Like whatever. He's the Joker basically in Krypton form.
He's still intelligent. He's still intelligent enough not to I'm not falling for your shit.
Yeah.
And most important, he's no Terrence Stamp.
Shit.
Of course.
So
I would say my only one quick thing on the opposite, because I know how you were saying about Superman not being done justice. I would also say on the opposite end, Zod did not do himself justice either, because literally he's doing like that James Bond slowly bringing my eyes over. It's like, okay, he's like, you want them to mourn those people? why aren't you flicking your eyes like quickly to the right?
Yeah.
If you want to kill them, just be like, okay.
Because
Wait,
I'm
wait.
evil.
Do you expect me to talk, Zod? No, I expect you to
No.
die, Joel.
I expect you to die, Superman.
So we're kind of, well, there are 3 questions, and hopefully these don't take too long or drive people nuts. But I think another thing, look at the atmosphere, and the stuff like the immersion of it didn't seem to work. What about the music? Did the music help at all, or it was like no?
That's my thoughts on the movie.
My thoughts on it, because I like film scores.
Reminds me of Inception.
Yeah, it's again it's Hans Zimmer, and I like the use of Simpsons scores, and but the thing was that nothing was memorable in this score. I mean, when you think about Superman, you think about you got the theme from the TV show, which was great, and then you got, of course, the classic John Williams score. I mean, that's one of the most recognized film theme songs of all time. This, I mean, even with the Batman films, you could, with Hans Zimmer, with the Dark Knight movies, there was a recognizable theme, in those movies, like a cue that's used in each one.
Yeah, I will admit, that's another problem.
But in this movie, there was nothing that the music really didn't stand out for me.
Gotcha.
It wasn't there may have been a theme. It's sort of like, oh, you have to listen to the soundtrack to like Superman theme or Man of Steel main title. It's like, oh, that was the theme in the movie? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Somewhat remember the main theme, but only like the trumpet part. That's all I remember.
Okay.
Maybe I remember a little bit more than I thought. Never mind.
Okay. Another thing I was picking up with the Spoonie Miles discussion was that there was a big oh heck no moment about the costume. What does the S mean? Like hope. Yeah. What did that bother anyone, or it's like okay?
Actually, I like that. I like it
that
a
too.
lot. That they
I
had
actually-
a whole. That they almost
Go
made it
ahead.
more like it's not really an S. Like this is just like the symbol of my house and my family, and that stands for hope. I love that they added that little detail in there, because it's like it made more sense. Because in the beginning, you see all these symbols. When his father is getting ready to send him off to Earth, and I'm like, why? I was actually asking myself, why are there all the S's? Like I knew the origin. From way back in the days, because, I know it's his clothing and stuff like that from the blankets and all that, but he was Superman. That's what the S was for. So I loved that they put that detail in there. That's like, no, it means this is the symbol, house symbol, and this is hope, and I just loved it. I'm sorry. I really appreciaed that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask, what is it that Spoonie and Miles said? I never got a chance to see the video.
Spoonie, I think, got really ticked off at it. He got really irritated. I don't know about Miles. I can't remember Miles so much, but I do know that I think he was okay. Well, it's like, no, he was cool with it, I think. He might have been cool with it, or it's like, wasn't a big deal to him. But Spoonie did not like it.
I'm shocked.
I have a question.
He doesn't like anything. Oh, well.
I have a question. Now, was it over that scene of like, S stands for hope, and she says, how about Soupy, and the feedback on the intercom?
Yeah, that part was kind of stupid.
that was sort of like a nudge, nudge, wink, wink kind of scene.
Yeah.
Or was it the scene later on where they're like, Battalion 5 was on the way back with Superman? Who? Superman.
Yeah.
They gave him the name
That's what they're
Superman.
calling him, sir.
Was it that? Which scene did he have problems with? Was it that scene, or the scene where they're like, Superman is on his way back?
No, just.
I think it was the discussion of the S. I think.
That was it.
And him being like, it's not an S.
Yeah, it was just the S. That was it.
I don't see how anyone could have a problem with that scene.
I don't know. I'm not
you have
sure.
to
I
remember
can't.
that. I don't know how it was. I'm sure in the comic books he called himself Superman, but in all the movies from in the animated series, Superman was something invented. Like in the first movie, Perry White says, call him Superman. In the animated series, they're calling me Superman. Well, make sure, I don't want them to think you're that nut like in Gotham City.
Yeah.
So Superman.
She knows about Batman.
The Superman was always something that was invented. the name Superman was always something that was invented by humans to describe Superman, so I never really had a problem with that. Although I did kind of find it funny that they just kind of they mention that that when they name him Superman, which is kind of a throwaway line. It's like yeah, Superman Battalion's 5 is coming back with Superman. That's what they're calling him, sir. It's like, oh, okay. I was like,
Okay.
oh, they name checked. Okay, they got the name in there.
It would have been funny.
It.
It would be funny. It would have been funny. General Nietzsche. They're calling him Superman. It would have been a funny reference. I would have laughed.
Oh, can I
What?
can I jump in with one quick thing? I mean, it's kind of a transition, but still kind of talking about the get-up. One thing that I really appreciated towards the end was they actually had, like, where you would expect, you know, when he comes out as Superman to be like that big reveal. It's like, yeah, it's cool, but you know, you expect it. I mean, it's an origin thing. I actually liked it at the end when he finally decides, like, that's when he decides he's going to be Clark Kent. And I actually like that they did like that kind of reversal, like his big dramatic thing when he has his jacket on and he's putting on the glasses. They actually kind of made a bit of a fanfare about that. I thought that was awesome.
I think that's a neat idea. That's actually a really interesting thing. Is that looking at it, where a lot of movies like the birth of Superman. Now this is kind of like Superman comes first, then the birth of Clark Kent. That's pretty neat. Yeah, and I think you bring up Pandora. You help bring us to the last question, probably the closing of this.
Oh, wait, I have one. I just have a quick comment. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Too late.
Okay, quick. Oh no. There's a whole scene that's like when Clark Kent finally goes to work for the Daily Planet. I'm surprised that the Daily Planet is still in operation in Metropolis. I'm pretty sure they would have moved their offices. It's like
They were like 20 feet from ground zero.
Yeah, Clark Kent is riding to work on a bike. I'm like, there are roads? They rebuilt all this? I would imagine the Daily Planet would move to another city, like move their offices to another city while Metropolis is being rebuilt. I'm like, wow,
or
they
at
did
least
a good
like
job.
everybody there is wearing like black armbands or something like that. I don't know. Yeah.
So
going to work with like a respirator, like face mask or respirators on their face, because you know all those buildings went down. I'm sure there was asbestos in the air.
it would have been great. They could have made a joke, a spoof off of it. The Avengers and the secret ending scene. That would have been funny. That would have been the ending scene. You hear Clark Kent. Everyone's brushing up, picking up stuff, and you hear Clark Kent typing the typewriter. It's like tick 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 tick.
Yeah, wait. They're dusting themselves off. Like, oh man, that was a good fight. And then Clark Kent comes running by, not as Superman, as Clark Kent on his bicycle going to work. And he's like, hey fellas, was that cool? Hey, was that Superman? Huh.
What I miss?
So this brings up the last question by the closing.
Oh wait, yeah. So he goes in the Daily Planet, and there's like a street sweeper like going on the street, and it's like taking in all the dust and the human skulls.
How do you do, Mr. Kent? Oh, don't find this.
That would have been awesome.
Oh, wait, hold on. There's one thing I want to notice. As soon when Clark Kent introduced herself to Lois Lane for the first time at the end, Lois Lane had that look as like, you're Superman. And I was like, finally, somebody actually sees past those glasses.
But she already knows he's Clark. She already knows that Clark is Superman because she tracked him down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh, by the way, a lot of people know he's Clark Kent. We got the friend who works at IHOP who clearly puts together that this is his friend. We got the Reverend that used to be the bully that he admits that I am this man that they are looking for. So a lot of people know his identity.
That was the bully?
What?
No. The bully was the one who worked at IHOP.
No, the bully was the Reverend they spoke to. The guy who works in the IHOP. The guy who worked in the IHOP, which is his fat friend.
The one he saved on the bus.
He was kind of bullying him earlier, but I'm thinking the priest was that guy who was trying to like beat. He was like, "Come on, fight, Clark,
okay,
pussy."
I get it. Yeah, now I remember.
Yeah, he was kind of like taunting Clark in that bus scene, but they weren't. They didn't get into a fight or anything. Because I remember there was a scene where after that scene where that bully's like trying to pick a fight with Clark. Where that kid like just kind of like either helps him up or he sits down next to him or something like that. He wasn't, trying to pick a fight. So yeah, a lot of people know that Clark Kent is this Superman.
So with that, what do you think? Do you think there's going to be a sequel? Do you think this is finally?
Oh, hell yeah!
Oh yeah, if anything else, I will say this definitely felt like a setup. I mean, as far as setup movies go, I thought it was pretty decent, but it definitely felt like a setup movie.
And look, let's be honest. Oh, never mind.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let's be honest. In the sequel, we all know who the villain's gonna be. Let's not.
Lexi. Come on, Lexi, you can do it.
I was gonna say, was anyone surprised in the Krypton scenes that they didn't establish what's his name? Brainiac.
Yes.
What's interesting is that the Superman the animated series did something clever. Lex Luthor created Brainiac, but what they did in the animated series was let's have some fun with this. Since no one really knows the origins of Krypton, why not make Brainiac a creation of Krypton? And then they added that on, and then they helped give a reason why Krypton blew up, because Brainiac's this genius. Like, we can trust him. It's an entity that we can trust, but he was lying because he got corrupted.
It all along.
Yeah, it went system shocking on everyone, kind of thing. So that's what happened. That's because Brainiac. Anyway, I explained myself.
I thought they were going to establish Brainiac with those weird things that kind of look. You know what that toy that people had where it's like pegs or something like that.
Yeah. Where you just put your face on it and just make those faces.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking. This is a weird place to think. I thought I saw that. I'm like, that's like that toy from the Super Mario Brothers movie. Weird place to go.
So.
I just assumed I missed that part because, like I said, I missed the first 10 or 15 minutes.
But I'm shocked that they didn't establish Brainiac and that whole because that Krypton scene goes on for 10, 15 minutes or so.
Yeah. But then again, it was an animated series thing, and I think it shows.
Oh,
and I'm really
the comics?
Yeah. No, not the comics. It was. If I recall correctly, I'll try to find the video again, Darkseid, if you want me to. But it was Bruce Timm was talking. And I was like, why not make Brainiac have a Kryptonian origin as well? And
so wait. Brainiac was a character, but he wasn't a Kryptonian computer thing.
Yeah, Lex. If I recall correctly, it's Lex Luthor in the comics. Lex Luthor created him. But with the Superman the animated series, the '90s one, I just want to make it clear for the people who listen to this, that it was a Kryptonian origin.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so in the Bruce Timm, that was intentional because they wanted to mix things up a little bit, because they were taking advantage. Bruce Timm and his team were taking advantage for the fact that not many people have really truly explored what Krypton looked like, what it did, what it could do, stuff like that. So we'll take advantage of this and make it an origin story for Brainiac, and it actually makes it a very interesting villain in a sense. It makes Brainiac even more interesting because instead of Lex Luthor creating this guy, you have this guy Brainiac that's responsible for the death of Krypton. So it makes him even more personal with Superman.
You know what I think they should do for the next next Man of Steel Superman movie, whatever? They should go the Tron Legacy route, and they should have a CGI Gene Hackman.
Or when I get what's the guy's name? Kevin
Spacey.
Yes. Wrong.
I'm sorry, I like Kevin Spacey as Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor.
Kevin Spacey is Gene Hackman. What? So everyone is looking forward to a sequel. Any hopes that they might change something in the future?
I'm not, I can't wait for the sequel. I'm just if it looks good, maybe I'll see it. Because I had a sour taste in my mouth after this movie, but
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, like you wear a false symbol, Kal-El. I feel no hope after having witnessed your feats.
Yes,
Yeah.
the lie.
Actually, wait. The next villain should be Nuclear Man. They'll get Mark Pillow back.
Wait, who?
Nuclear Man.
Oh, eh.
The woman.
I hope they don't use Lex Luthor yet. Maybe what they could do is they could establish.
I've got it.
I think
It's
they
like-
kind of hinted that they would, though, because, I mean, like, kind of towards the end, I mean, I know part of it might be just cameo, but they did point out, like, the Lex Luthor Corp in, like, a truck in that thing. I don't know if it was
It'd
just
be-
as a cameo thing, but I think it might have been a hint.
It might have been. It might have been a
Definitely.
great way to. I just hope they keep it in mind.
Here's an idea. With all the destruction that happened to Metropolis, that could be a great way for Lex Luthor to come in and say, "This is Superman's fault. I'm trying to rebuild this city."
How about this? I mean, I think what would be great is what might cause great tension between them is that you see Superman in the sequel, helping rebuild Metropolis, taking advantage of his powers of, making its very faster rebuilding rate, and you see Lex Luthor getting envious of this because he's losing. He has daddy issues, and he's getting jealous of Superman and what he's doing. So
Wait. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I
No,
had a
it's
thought.
cool.
I had a thought. I was like, this popped in my head. I'm like, of course. Why haven't I thought about this? Why are we even like discussing the casting of who's going to be Lex Luthor? It has to be Clancy Brown.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
he's done. I mean, the
Yes.
guy's done tons of live action.
All
work.
my money.
Yes. You read my mind, Webman.
Who's Clancy Brown?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Sure.
Superman. There can be only one.
They could have been.
Oh,
It'd be great. They get Tim Daly, the guy who did the voice of the Superman the animated series. They get him involved somehow. That'd be great. That'd be a nice little nod.
He was one of the people who voiced one of them.
He should be like the you know how like in the original movie Rex Reed had a very small cameo in that movie. Film critic.
Really? Huh?
Yeah, it's like Lois. It's Clark and Lois are outside the Daily Planet, and Lois says, "Oh hey Rex, how you doing?" He's like, "Oh hey Miss Lane, I'm just heading out." And Lois says, "Clark, this is Rex. He's a film critic." And Clark says, how do you, he's like, how do you do, sir? And Rex is like, yeah, that's nice. And he just walks off. So that's the new movie. It should be, oh, Mr. Daly, how you doing? I'm fine. It's like, Clark, this is Mr. Daly. He's one of our reporters. Hi there, I'm Clark. Yeah, it's nice. See you later.
So, with that said, everyone's okay.
Oh, I got a better idea. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Go, Darcy.
I got a better idea. You know how the whole thing about the telephone booth in the old comics and the old cartoons where he goes into the booth and he changes, comes out.
It's the TARDIS.
Yeah. Wait, Superman runs up to he's like, I gotta change because the city's in trouble. He runs up to a phone booth, even though they don't exist anymore. But whatever, there's a phone booth, and he's like, he tries to get in, and there's a guy on the phone talking, and it's Tim Daly, and he's in sort of like Clark Kent, and with the glasses and everything, and he's like talking, yeah, and the guy, Superman knocks the door, he's like, this is an emergency, and the guy's like, puts his finger up, it's like, hey, I'm talking here, go away. I thought that would just be a fun scene to do.
So, with that said, I think it's been a mixed responses, and understandably so, given all the responses here. Any last final thoughts?
Nah.
I think that this is a kind of movie where if you think about it a lot, you get mad. But as long as you turn up your brain and just kind of coast, then it's good.
Yeah, I found a lot of more problems that were some more technical issues, like I said, between the transitions and, sometimes with the blurry cam. Some stupid moments. But otherwise, I agree. If you just go along with it for the ride, it can actually be quite enjoyable.
Gotcha. Anything else, 12 Gauge? Dark Side?
12 Gauge, you can go first.
Henry Cavill is a sexy beast. That is all.
Yeah, buddy.
I'll put that in there. I'll put in the...
I'm waiting for Pandora to say, "I will hit that."
Final thoughts on this movie, because before we talked a lot about Batman. Of course, by the time when this video comes out, we haven't gotten to the Nolan trilogy. It hasn't been posted yet, but hopefully soon.
Soon.
All things go back to Batman.
That's the truth. And I complain a lot about The Dark Knight Rises and that if you really think about it, a lot of things do not make sense. The script was not as strong as The Dark Knight. And I would say the same thing with Man of Steel. Even though with Man of Steel, you don't have to think that hard to figure out the flaws in this movie. But I will say, if I had to pick between those two movies, and I actually would say that Man of Steel suffers from Dark Knight syndrome. The Warner Brothers clearly went to Christopher Nolan and said, "Oh, you did wonders for Batman. Do Superman now." I would pick even though I have issues with The Dark Knight Rises, I would pick The Dark Knight Rises because, in my opinion, I think that Christopher Nolan is a much better director than Zack Snyder in terms of how he uses the camera. Because I thought that, even though I didn't like Dark Knight Rises, I thought that the way he filmed the movie was great. And he is a very talented director. Zack Snyder, I think he goes a little bit too much for a gimmick. And that's my thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, and with that in mind, I hope the people watching this enjoyed this episode of Axis of Action. Please have a good night, and I hope if you watch Man of Steel or have watched it, these thoughts entertain you. Good night.
Good night from Planet Houston. Good night.
Keep watching the skies.
Good night from Planet Houston.
Houston! No! I'm sorry, somebody had to do it.
Darkness. Pure darkness.
Nice S.
Excuse me?
Right here. He's strong, he flies, he's the Nietzschean fantasy ideal all wrapped up in a red cape. The Superman.